Hello and welcome to my little guide to the mail order e-commerce business structure. I'm Chloe Thomas, creator of eCommerce MasterPlan. I'm going to talk you through what an e-commerce business structure is and then what it means if you're in the mail order e-commerce business structure. The e-commerce business structures were created from my experience in over 10 years of working in the e-commerce and online marketing fields for various retailers. And they were introduced to the world in eCommerce MasterPlan, which is the book there on the right. There are 7 e-commerce business structures, which is the list right the way down the middle of your screen. And which one you are as a business is fundamental to how your business runs. And changing between these is a massive decision. So one of the first things you need to decide as an e-commerce business is which e-commerce business structure you're going to build your business around, because it really does change everything in your business. How they are defined is essentially your routes to market, so the way you get your orders in. So we have down the left-hand side, we have the 4 different ways in which you can get sales to your business as an e-commerce business. At the top, we've got your own website. So that's your own website. It might be on Shopify, might be on the Magento platform, could be using WooCommerce on the back of a WordPress site. Doesn't matter which engine you're using, but it's your website on your URL. So it's ecommercemasterplan.com, for example. Next, we have catalogs, and by catalogs I mean a vehicle that's delivered via the post that is designed to directly get customers to order. So it's a direct response vehicle. This isn't a brand magazine. This isn't a postcard. This is a multi-page direct mail piece which is specifically designed to get people to order. So it's got lots of buy calls to action. It's covered in buttons that say new, bestseller, recommended, etc. It's got pricing for every product, it's got a code for every product, it's got a description for every product and a picture for every product. It is your traditional catalogue. Could be as big as an Argos catalogue with thousands of pages, or it might be just a simple 32-pager. But it must be there to directly get customers to buy from you. Fourth on the list, we've got our shops and stalls. This is businesses which either have a permanent stall somewhere, or they go to a great number of events, usually over the summer, or they have a physical shop. And some of them have lots of shops and some have not that many, which is why we split them out into the 2 different types of bricks and clicks, but that's for another video, so I'm getting ahead of myself. Finally, we have using someone else's website to sell. So if you sell on eBay, Amazon, Etsy, Folksy, Hotels.com, any of those sites, you're piggybacking on someone else's website. And today we're talking about the mail order group. So let me tell you what defines mail order. Mail order businesses have a website of their own. They have a catalogue. It's one of those direct response driving direct mail pieces. They don't have a shop. They might occasionally go to shows and events, but they don't have their own physical shop. However, if you have a clearance piece on the side of your warehouse, that's fine, but if you've got physical shops around the place, then at that point you become a multi-channel business. The mail order business might also do a bit of wholesale. If you're designing your own products, you might wholesale, and that's fine. We ignore that for the sake of the e-commerce master plan, because it's a totally different business venture. You may also sell on piggyback sites. You may be selling a bit via eBay and Amazon, maybe clearing out, maybe specific ranges. Maybe you've got your whole range there, but it should be a small part of your business. So if piggybacking's become a very large part of your business, and the big question is why you're bothering with a catalogue, but that's a whole other story. So you may be selling a little bit on Amazon and eBay. But the majority of your sales are coming in via your own website and the catalogue, so also via the phones as well, of course. And that's what a mail order business is. The real key tenets are the website, the catalogue, and not having a shop. That's what defines you as being mail order. Some examples of mail order businesses. We've got just only 3 on this slide, but these really encompass the whole range of mail order e-commerce business structures. We've got Very, which is one of those huge catalogue companies, massive catalogue with hundreds and hundreds of pages, loads and loads of products. We've then got M&M Direct, which is a discount sportswear specialist. So they have a relatively niche product range, and they just do the catalogue on the website. And then we've got Scots of Stow, who are kind of your traditional British mail order business, a highly eclectic product range, held together through the catalogue and through the branding. And I cut my teeth at a similar business to Scots of Stow called Pastimes, where we had very much that case of a product set that really only did work via the catalogue format and didn't work that well online, because when you're creating an Edwardian spread with some ladies' gloves, a velvet jacket, a Davenport desk and some mugs, makes perfect sense in a catalogue, but it really doesn't make any sense online. You just don't have the space to explain it. So if you're one of those mail order businesses, you really need to work hard on building your brand. So there's that cohesive brand vision that pulls it all together. So people are coming to you because they know they're going to find the right product edit. So that's really important if you're one of that type of mail order business. And actually, that's one of the few places you can get away with an eclectic product mix, is if you are a mail order business. It's you or it's the bricks and clicks people. Because online, eclectic just doesn't work that well. So why is understanding your e-commerce business important? E-commerce business structure, rather, important? Well, it affects, as I said earlier, it affects everything in your business. It affects your business structure, how your team's made up, what you choose to outsource, what you should never outsource, where you focus your effort, what the core pieces of the business you have to get right are. Likewise, it affects your marketing strategy. There are some marketing methods that it is essential to get right, and these differ from business structure to business structure. And there are different key challenges for each e-commerce business structure. I'll come on to the key challenges in a moment. First, I want to talk you through what these areas mean for the mail order business. So if you are a mail order e-commerce business structure, in your team you need to have people who are skilled in catalogues and catalogue design. And it is a very specific skill set. Where you place things on the page can make a massive difference to performance. Where you put key products, how you lay those pages out is a huge impact on performance. And how you get your brand across and get that cohesion across into the catalogue is very, very big skill. You may choose to go to a specialist for the design part, but you need to have some of those skills in-house in order to manage that design team to get the right catalogue produced. You also need to have online specialists. So you need to have people who understand all those online tactics and how to be mixing those together with your offline activity. Because one of the biggest nightmares is trying to work out what came from where, what order was driven by what piece, because with the offline and the online activity you've got a lot of overlap going on. You need to work out how to do that. Which brings on to the third thing you need to make sure you've got great skills of in your team, which is analysis. Catalogues are expensive, so you have to have the analysis in place so as you know you're spending your marketing money in the right place to make sure you're getting your bang for your buck from those catalogues and make sure you're shifting your stock. You also need to have some of your team who are great at analysing the products and making sure you've got the right products in stock, because that catalogue hangs around for a while. If you go out of stock 2 days into that catalogue launch, you are annoying customers and you are losing out on money. So you need to be able to analyse those products really well and the product performance and predict that well. So your merchandising skill set, your merchandising and buying team are essential, because you don't have the room for error because you've got that permanent physical catalogue out there in the customer's hands. You also need to have people skilled at data management and how you segment your database, getting it accurate, making sure you're tracking it right, making sure you're allocating orders to the right customer. It's a minefield, and this is something you might also consider outsourcing, is to use a really good data warehouse to manage that data and also to do the DGs from your cold lists and those other areas. Now, the other big skill set you need is literally how to get that catalogue out there, because that is a whole world. I used to do that as a job, was working out how to get the catalogue out there, buying the data, renting lists, managing the DGs, managing the data warehousing team, managing the mailing house, the catalogue production people, the design team, the print, worrying about the covers coming in from Germany whilst the binding was happening in Leicestershire, and trying to really hoping that all the lorries turned up on time. That's something you've got to have someone in your business looking after if you're going for it with the catalogue, if you want to do it cost effectively. So it's a big old skill set, the catalogue piece. Saying that, it remains one of the most powerful ways to drive sales to an e-commerce business. So don't think I'm playing catalogues down. I just don't want anyone going into it without their eyes open. Things you therefore need to consider outsourcing is things such as warehousing, the print, so pick and pack of your products, customer service calls, because you're going to be getting the big peaks and troughs, which are expensive to be managing internally from an HR and a staffing perspective. You also want to be outsourcing the printing and the posting of those catalogues, possibly the design of the catalogue, and you definitely want to be outsourcing the photography because you need high-end photography, and that is a skill in itself and requires a lot of expensive kit. Where you want to be focusing your effort then is on building your brand and making sure the products are edited to fit well together to support your brand and your catalogues, and making sure you've got your products in at the right time, the right volumes of those products, and that you've got the merchandising sorted out. So you've got things arriving at the right time. Because if your catalogue lands and you hit a load of back orders, that's costing you money. So you need someone on top of that at all times. It really is the product mix and getting that right, which is going to be key to your success, as well as having the right people on board to get the marketing traffic in. Seems like quite a long list, doesn't it? Mail order, very, very powerful, but if you don't know what you're doing, it can be a minefield. Marketing strategy wise, the essential methods you've got to be using. You've obviously got to have your catalogue specialist, your offline marketing specialist. We've talked about that. You would be crazy not to be using lots and lots of email and getting that integrated with what you're doing with your posting strategy. So different emails to people depending on what catalogues they've received. Making sure you're supporting those catalogue mailings and building the activity around that. Email is a critical tool if you're a mail order business to help you manage those stock peaks and troughs, and also to make sure you're maximising the impact of your catalogues. Preview emails, post-catalogue emails, really, really powerful for getting extra cash out of that catalogue send. Catalogues are also a big branding tool. When a catalogue goes out, you will get a spike in search queries, in social media activity, because of that brand power and the fact that as well as being a direct response mechanism, your catalogue naturally builds a lot of brand awareness. So you also need to have an eye on your AdWords activity around your brand and your search activity around your brand to make sure you're capitalising on that brand awareness as it peaks and troughs throughout the year as your catalogue mailings happen. So you need to have a handle on those. But the really critical thing you've got to be aware of if you're in the kind of the Scots of Stow, the traditional mail order, the pastimes area, is you need to be clear on what your brand is and make sure that your whole business is fitting around that brand. If you get that wrong, you will have the problems that pastimes had when I worked there, which is we didn't have that strong brand. Customers weren't quite sure what we were doing. And to replicate what happened in the catalogue on the web was incredibly difficult. So it's brand, offline, email, search and AdWords as the essential methods, and you should also be testing remarketing to make sure you're getting the customers who got there with the catalogue coming back to complete those orders. Which brings us quite nicely onto the key challenges for the e-commerce business structure for mail order. Number one, understanding the joint role of catalogues and online marketing to bring in customers. You do not want your catalogue team and your online marketing team at war over who owns the customer. You need to come up with a method that you're all happy with in terms of how you attribute those sales. There is currently no perfect way of doing this. There are many theories, there are many models. Different businesses adapt the one that fits best with their strategies. So you need to investigate and then come up with the right way to manage it in your business. Other challenge is to get customers to order online. Often mail order customers tend to be an older demographic, which means they like to pick up the phone or even to pay by check still in some cases. And that is costly for you. So you need to be encouraging people to make that switch to ordering online, to buying online from you, which then leads to who should we be sending a catalogue to and who shouldn't we? So some big data and analysis challenges, which is why I hope I made it clear enough that in your team you've got to have some good analysts if you want to do well in this in the mail order sector. In the mail order sector. In fact, actually, it's not just about doing well; it's doing as well as you deserve to. You must be doing that analysis. So this has been my little snapshot into the mail order e-commerce business structure. Probably worked out I know a fair amount about this one, and I have quite a few opinions. So get in contact with us to find out more, or just simply go to eCommerce masterplan.com to find out more about how to build your e-commerce business and get hold of copies of the books. Thanks very much. Bye.